Well, welcome everybody joining us on Facebook, YouTube, some of you joining us on IGTV. Look, whether you are watching live or on replay, I am so glad to have you here with us. Look, notifications are going out. More and more people will be joining over the next few minutes. But for those of you that have already joined on, do us a favor real quick, hit that share now button there at the bottom of your screen, because we believe the next few minutes in our conversation is going to be very relevant and it's going to be very inspirational to you. And I have someone very important here that's going to be talking to us in just a few minutes. So go ahead, please hit that share now button. Let's get this out to as many people as we can. And for those of you that have already joined us, you can see on this screen a very familiar face, the one and only Bishop Michael Pitts. What's up, sir?
Man, I am more than happy to be with you and to talk to all of your friends. I'm happy to talk to anybody, actually, in these days.
I'm with you on the desperate times call for desperate measures, but it is good to be seen by you and good to see your face and hear your voice, man. Are you holding up in Ohio well?
We're all a little bit on lockdown, and there are really good parts of that. And for those of us that are used to running and being busy all the time, it's a little bit of a learning lesson as well. But I'm glad to be sitting here talking to you.
I was telling Christina yesterday, by this time of the year, I'd be hitting my 75,000 mile mark on Delta. And I'm sitting here, I haven't been on a flight. My suitcase is still packed from the trip. I was supposed to go to Paris 3 weeks ago. I'm just by faith holding it out in the closet. But man, it is so good that you would take time. I know even though you are at home managing Cornerstone Church, overseeing that, the Cornerstone Global Network, and to all of our CGN friends and family, Cornerstone people that are watching, love you guys and so glad to have you here. But you've been staying busy even though you've been at home. So it means a lot that you would take some time out of your schedule to talk with us. And I had a conversation, Bishop, similar to this with Real Talk Kim a few weeks ago. And quite frankly, we were just talking about the necessity of having these conversations because people are locked down. They can't go to work. There's no water cooler conversations. Folks aren't going out to Applebee's and Fridays on the weekends hanging out. So these conversations are a necessity. And we're inviting people into our homes and our living rooms so they can have this talk with us. Some of the feelings, the emotions that are surrounding this. We're facing something right now that everyone globally is linked together with the common issue, the common threat of this coronavirus and the feelings and emotions associated with it. It's interesting that this is no respecter of persons. It's hitting every race, ethnicity, culture, economic status. It's the same in South Africa as it is Africa, North America, South America. So the world is reeling right now, but in this, the Spirit is speaking. And you have always had such an amazing perspective in every circumstance and situation, especially ones that are difficult. You see things that nobody else sees. You see things in a way that no one else sees. So I just want you to take a few minutes and open your heart to us and talk to us about what you're seeing, what you're sensing in all of this.
Well, thank you again. And we love your church. We love you and your wife for many years, and love all of the people that you're reaching to. So let me say that to kind of piggyback on what you said about it being global and not being connected to ethnicity or zip codes or geographical boundaries, it reminds us of the interconnectedness of all things. Mm-hmm. Everything God makes is connected to something else. And so one of the things that we're learning here, difficultly, but we're learning, is that we are all connected. Yeah. Everything is connected to everything, and everybody is connected to everybody. That's a difficult lesson, but we're learning it. The other thing that I think that we are learning is that we will value, I pray, that our gatherings together will be more important to us. I'm reading and rereading and rehearing the scriptures of David. I was glad when they said unto me, let us go to the house of the Lord. And we've said that so many times and quoted it. I preached it, and we would say it on the Sunday. But think about it now that as leaders, there are so many people, I miss seeing their faces. Mm-hmm. I miss seeing them personally. I miss touching, hugging, seeing their smiles, and they miss ours, hopefully, as well. But that makes us want to value that more. Mm-hmm. I think Sunday became an item across across so many people's pages. Well, let's go to the beach. Maybe we'll do lunch. Maybe we'll do brunch. Maybe we'll play soccer. Maybe we'll take a family day. Maybe we'll go to church. So now that all of the other items are gone, sometimes you don't know what you value until you don't have it there. So those are a few of my thoughts, easily, but that's what I'm thinking.
I want to kind of dig into that a little bit, Bishop, because you and I have talked about this, and always thank you, man, for staying in touch with us and keeping our fires burning as you do so well. But in all of this, we've heard it from pundits, we've heard it from news outlets, and quite frankly, there's been some leaders in the body of Christ. I'm not throwing stones at anybody because a lot of them I respect, but there seems to me to be an undercurrent that people don't think the church will ever rebound from this as far as church attendance. And this is changing the model. It's church in a new way. From here on out, people will do online. And online is awesome. I mean, these are our modern day letters. Like Paul began to write letters. When he couldn't preach in person, he began to write letters. We can't preach in person. These online events, our services, the conversations we're having now, that's our modern day letter. But there's something stirring inside of me that says, if people are expected to flood the sports stadiums again, the theaters, the shopping malls, why are we not to expect that when this thing is over, that people are going to come running back to the church? We don't want to say, I know the church isn't a building. It's not about bricks and mortar. But one day when this passes, we're going to want people to come back to the buildings that we told them don't matter. Because the forsaking not of yourselves together is still an instruction from God. And I happen to believe in my heart that God is setting up the church globally for its biggest Sunday, its greatest attendance, its greatest altar calls, salvations, baptisms. What are you sensing on the other side of this, apostolically and prophetically?
Well, that's why I like you, because you see it properly and optimistically and through the eyes of faith. A basketball team is not an auditorium, but when the basketball team gets together, they expect people to fill the stadium up.
Right.
A football team is not a stadium. The Grammy Awards is not a show. Okay, so I get all. So here's what I believe. I believe that we potentially will see more faces in our buildings of people who are born again during this time online, and they will come to church for the first time when our church buildings. I did an interview with NBC 13 News up here the other day, and they said, "What are you going to do when Easter's closed?" I said, "Easter is not closed."
Right.
Okay, the tomb is open and Easter is open. Our building is closed, but Easter is not closed.
Right.
So what it makes me think is more people will potentially hear about the resurrection this Easter, because no one has any place to go.
Yeah.
And be online everywhere. And when the day comes, when we are all able to gather physically, we will see new people in our churches that were born again and saved while we were on lockdown. And I like to say there's a difference between being locked down and knocked down. So I'm on lockdown, but I'm not knocked down. And there will be people that will hear your message on Easter that may have not listened to you before. And when the day comes, and our buildings are open and we can gather together again, I'm believing you will see new faces that were born again, and we're going to come back to church with more people, not less.
Yeah, we're coming back bigger, better, and stronger. I believe that. And I think people that are really inclined to that prophetic and apostolic thing, they're seeing the same things. They're hearing the same things. However, we're also sensitive. You've been pastoring for a long, long time. You're an incredible pastor. Obviously, the apostolic call and office of bishop is on you, but you have been an amazing pastor for years. And as a pastor, you have your finger on the heartbeat of the sheep. And it doesn't matter, we're talking about the interconnectivity of this. It doesn't matter if people are in Toledo and Florida, Germany. Sure. I just talked to a pastor in Bulgaria. They're feeling the same things that we're feeling, the same issues, the same fears and things that we're facing. What does the pastor in you say to the sheep whose hearts are troubled? I want you to talk to us from that aspect for a moment.
Yeah. So my heart is always that you fear not, that you know that you're not alone. We're working overtime like you are, with our teams, the people on our team, Phil and Meredith, who are doing an incredible job leading our church here. And they have all of our team calling nearly everybody on our prayer, on our list of members, just calling and checking up on people. Are you okay? Can we pray for you? So that connectivity is important to me, because we have people that are shut in, and we have people that are alone. We have people that are concerned and troubled, and life does not stop because a virus showed up. We've had 3 families that have had funerals in the last month. And that doesn't stop because the virus showed up. We have kids that thought they were graduating, very soon. So to me, my heart is that and that the people of God know that they're not alone, and that we're never alone. And so that is so great that you're doing something like this, because for people to see our faces and hear our voices is very impactful. So if I can take like a little left here, one of the things that I think that happens during times of crisis is you have angels ascending and descending. You have leaders that rise to the occasion. And you have people that acted like they were leaders that need to exit stage right. So we have a generation of people that felt like everybody was a prophet, everybody was an apostle, because they had the dashboard in their car and they had a cell phone, but they're not leading anything. And but in times of crisis, people follow leadership that is stable, leadership that is sensible, intelligent, and thoughtful. And anybody can jump on there and go like, oh, and I'm just going to do whatever I want to do, and I'm just going to have church anyway, and then half of your members come down with a virus or whatever. But here at our church, we don't teach order and feel like we can violate orders.
Right.
And Governor DeWine came out, one of the earliest states in America, and he made an edict, I'll call it, or an order. So I told my team, I said, that's all we need to hear. It was an order. Plus, it's an intelligence issue. I'm a faith guy. You're a faith guy.
Yeah.
You've been in more healing services than most people that I know. But I don't get the right as a leader to impose my feelings on the masses. I have a lot of people, as you do, that come through the building of my church. And so that's the way that I took it. I didn't feel, I feel like juveniles. So in Florida, since you're in Florida, we'll talk about Florida. So in Florida, some of the governors, or some of the mayors, I will say, did not shut down the beaches during spring break.
Right.
And they found out that juveniles will party when they should be being quarantined.
Right.
And I find that with churches as well, that some of our people who you and I both love felt like they could just go on and keep having church like they're on spring break. But that's juvenile. It's juvenile for you to be having church when we are not fully in charge of where all this is going. Right. So it was my position, and yours, I think, as leaders and somewhat mature, to say, let's be smart.
Yeah.
Let's be wise. Let's let God have his way, and we'll all get back together again.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've been fortunate to have a couple of different conversations directly with Governor DeSantis, of course, our governor here in Florida.
Sure.
And he made something very, very clear, that church and the assembling of church is still considered essential business. So He's giving us the luxury of saying, I don't want to make a decision statewide. I don't want to force that big government decision on you, but I'm trusting that y'all would be sensible enough to abide by these guidelines. For us, it was an absolute no-brainer because we also believe, and I've had a lot of people when we first canceled, before there was any stay-home order, talking about it not being a thing of faith. And I asked them, well, why do you lock the doors on your church building when you're not in the building? I mean, if angels are watching it, don't bolt the door. Right. Some people carry, a weapon with them in certain states for self-protection. If the blood's on you, you don't need that revolver strapped to your hip. So there's this balance between wisdom and faith, and then you get off into far left field where things become, quite honestly, not throwing stones, but it becomes almost a selfish agenda. Instead of anything profiting the kingdom, it profits notoriety, it brings attention to an issue rather than to the king that we're supposed to be lifting up. So we believe that the way Jesus can heal our community is by our community staying at home and not spreading this thing. We believe Jesus can heal that way, just as if we were spitting on people and they're at the altar.
No, absolutely. And I think that what we should know as church leaders is that there is life on the other side of the virus.
Right.
And so then the question becomes, how does your community view you as a leader on the other side of this virus? So I'm thankful and grateful for people like you that have contact with your governor. Our governor, Mike DeWine, and I and our mayor and things have had certain conversations.
Sure.
And I felt like some of our friends took the word non-essential as offense.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And I told them, I said, just let's don't get caught up in vocabulary. Because when they said, church is a non-essential kind of a thing. And I said, that's secular language. And I don't need to be offended by that. And because I'm still going to be smart. Love, the Bible said that love is the fulfilling of the law.
Yeah.
That love works no ill to its neighbor.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So if I love someone, should I invite them into a room that they will come into if I, as the leader, say, okay, by God, we're all getting together on Sunday. They're coming because they're following order and leadership.
Yeah.
But am I doing good to my neighbor if I put them in a position of harm? I don't think it's a sign of faith. I think it's a sign of disrespect, dishonor, and people that always have to be on the outside trying to make it look like their faith counts. And I know I'm kind of maybe pushing further than perhaps maybe.
No, I'm 100% with you, Bishop. Move it.
Yeah, because what I think is that the church is life in a community. And but most of our leaders have revisited the term non-essential because they got a lot of pushback from that. And I get that. If you were to take the churches out of our community, they would fold tomorrow. And most of our, so if I felt like, for real, it was the government trying to shut down churches, okay, I'd go to jail with you.
Right.
Okay. Our government is not trying to shut down our churches any more than they're trying to shut down the coffee shops and the gyms and the everything else. It's an intelligence issue, it's a health issue, and it's a leadership issue.
Right.
So let's be smart. Let's love our people. And I want to say thank God for people like you and the people that are part of New Beginnings, because I mean, our people, your people are hanging in there.
Yeah, they get it.
Yeah, and they're like, man, we're going to give online, we're going to support, we're going to watch online, and you and I both have people that are putting up big screens on Sundays.
Awesome, it is.
And I'm like, you're actually more faithful than you used to be.
I ain't got nowhere else to go now, Bishop. We got a captive audience. But for years, you and I have been so fortunate. I've always enjoyed, especially the television stuff I've done with you over the years. You've had a presence on national and international television for years. I've been on international television. We have seen God for decades save, heal, deliver, all the Pentecostal cliches we can come up with
Yes.
over the air. There's
Yeah.
no difference. Now, it's not a substitute for the assembling together.
Right.
It works, and it is working. And I'm watching what God's doing at Cornerstone. And again, I didn't want to interrupt you when you said it, but to Phil and Meredith, my hat's off to them. What a power couple. They're doing an amazing job leading and just shepherding. You can feel the anointing of the shepherd on both of them right now. But our people are engaging. They are still praising. They're still worshiping. They're still giving. And I think that's a testimony of being led well. And hats off to you for instilling that at Cornerstone, the culture that you guys have, because your people know it. This is difficult. It's not fun, but we know it's seasonal. And when we come out of it, we're coming out with something greater. And I think you're so spot on with the fact we're coming out with this need to gather again, things that we've taken for granted, that we've just allowed to go by the wayside. People are going to come back. They're going to be hungry. I think people aren't going to be as fussy about how long service goes. I think they're going to be less fussy about who's sitting in that doggone seat and how cold or hot it is. They might actually come to church and think about Jesus instead of everything else. It's going to be awesome. I really feel it.
I'm gonna let you say that, and everybody can address all their comments to Pastor Jonathan Miller.
Exactly right. In care of Bishop Michael Pitts, please.
Right. But think about it, how great it is when you're saying that. Why is it that church things, God things, are diminished by a screen? People watch football games, but they're not at the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Every day people are making comments about the news, but you're not in the newsroom.
Mm-hmm.
You're watching it on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
People are voting for American Idol and The Voice on their phone, but you're not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So why can we not do the same with the gospel and take your phone out and text an offering? Take your phone out and phone a friend. For God's sake, one day a week at least, make your phone be sanctified from all the other crazy stuff you're doing. And so I'm not concerned about that. I miss, as you do, the physical gathering.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's good for us to be alone.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is an importance in the touch and touching and agreeing and laying hands. I agree with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I look forward to all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years and over history, there have been many times when the church had to be quarantined,
Mm-hmm.
Had to be locked in, from Passover to Noah to Rahab
Mm-hmm.
to the Last Supper, to the upper room. People had to be kind of locked in and quarantined and to wait. So I'm not concerned. I wish it wasn't that way.
Mm-hmm.
I miss people really bad. I'm a people guy.
Yeah,
I want to just I want to get back to church and watch some of my funny praisers praise.
Yeah, I miss that too. I miss that.
I'm like, oh, there you are. There you are. Okay. We all miss that. But guess what? They miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And we have numbers of people that are seniors that are alone in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And we are doing our dead level best to call everyone that we can and let them know you are not alone. And the reason for things like this, and I applaud you as a man of God for this, is because sometimes for someone to sit in their house and see your face
Mm-hmm.
and to hear your voice brings comfort to their heart, because they miss you as well.
Yeah. And Bishop, thank you, because you know you're the house favorite at New Beginnings. We love you, and people just, they love seeing you, and they
That's
love
the way it is.
That's just the way it is. Ain't no other option. But our people, they do love you. And it was very important that we bring voices that our people do honor and respect. And you are one of those voices. And in the last couple minutes that we have here, my faith has been stirred. My heart is stirred. You know, every time I've talked to you, I always feel like we're going to be okay. And I know that people are sensing that in their faith. Would you just pray over every person that's watching for us? Would you do that?
I will. And I want to say we will be okay. The old saints used to say, trouble don't last always. And I say over you and over your church and everyone that's looking at us right now, that your best days,
Mm.
Hisa, and your blessed days, they are ahead of you.
Jesus.
And God is giving us a new normal,
Mm.
but we will not go back to the old ways.
Mm.
He's giving us a new and a better way. We pray over you peace, preservation, prosperity, blessing. Even if it's a temporary layoff, you're going to bounce back and you're going to be better. And you're going to look back and say, I'm glad that I was a part of what God was doing. I decree over you blessing and favor and the goodness of the Lord over your life. I can't wait to come back to Orlando. And then when I come back to preach, I want to see some people in those seats. Y'all better not be sitting at home just
You will
looking at
see,
me on the
you will see
street.
some weird, crazy praisers when you come here when this is all over.
I'm going to be one of them.
You know it. Bishop, we love you. We really do. Thank you for your time. Thank you for inspiring. Thank you for being that model leader. You were talking about leadership. You have been and are an amazing leader, and I thank you for that. And of course, everyone that has been watching, hit that like button. I want to see some heart emojis, comment, let us know that you were watching, let us know where you were watching. And of course, it's very important. We want you to share this with as many people as you can, because someone's going to be blessed like you were just blessed. So we love you all, and we'll see you Sunday online, wherever you may be. We love you online. Bless you.
Peace, my friend. Bless you.
Bless you, man.